Yeah, I know you have a clearer picture, but it's still emulation.
He's right, you know.
Deal. Oh, hello chip dippers. Welcome to Retro Recipes. And in today's boring bumper episode, we've got a big Team 17 update. I've got news about that Amiga 4000 with all the Worms original files on, where it ended up. We've got updates on WITCHWOOD, got a charity auction, got a contest so you can win some of that Team 17 stuff as well from the 90s. But this does all mean that I haven't got Worms anymore. The Amiga 4000 has, after all, left me.
That's great. That means you can move in from the garage.
Oh, garage. But yeah.
Garage.
No, it's garage.
Well, you can stay in the garage until you're ready to move out of the garage. I'll be waiting.
No, actually, you're right. I think it's garage. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think this also means that you're not going to be making any more worm puns.
Yeah. In fact, you could say I've wormed over a new leaf. So, welcome to Retro Recipes.
Welcome.
Well, all joking aside, I am sorry about the amount of time it's taken me to get this update together, but we really underestimated the complexity of sending stuff to, well, I'll tell you in a minute. But firstly, you remember the update video we did on WITCHWOOD?
Welcome to WITCHWOOD.
Exactly.
Welcome to WITCHWOOD.
Well, I found out that non-playable auto-playing demo, which would just move the character around for you, if instead of running the batch file, you actually ran the executable file, witch.exe, you can actually play the demo. So I've updated my Internet Archive page on that, and if you go to the link in the description, you can now play WITCHWOOD. I also put a couple of other links in there, because if you want to have the full experience, you can play back that intro that we recreated from the original cutscenes, including
Welcome to WITCHWOOD.
Exactly. And you can then put on Bjorn Lind's music in the background, fire up the demo, and essentially be playing an approximation of what the finished game would have been. So that's the update on WITCHWOOD, and
Welcome to WITCHWOOD.
yeah, that's all she's here for.
That's it. So what happened to those backup tapes and drives?
Good question, Ladyfractic. So I was contacted by Carl Perry, good name, of the Central Texas Commodore Users Group, and he had the correct backup drive that could read those tapes that were backed up in, 1998 or something like that.
That's convenient.
Very convenient. So we shipped the tapes to him, and guess what we found?
What did we find?
You've heard of worms?
Yes.
You knew I had worms?
Everyone knew you had worms.
Do you know what came next?
A pill?
Worms 2.
Oh, well, obviously. I think that's the version that I actually played.
Right. And Worms 2, we found the original cutscene files on the backup tapes. But there's just one small snag. These cutscenes used the Puppet Master plugin, which was abandoned about 10 versions ago in Lightwave, so we haven't had any success in reanimating these, but it's still amazing to see them like this. And I'll put this hard disk image recovered from tape in the description below. You know what that means?
You put them online.
Well, we'll be doing that too, but it also means I've got worms again. Back in the garage?
Yeah.
Okay. And speaking of those drives, we actually were able to restore most of those too, with the help of the guys from the Internet Archive. And we'll actually be tying it in with a live Q&A with Chris Blythe, that original Team 17 developer who gave me Worms. I'm going to be putting that out initially as a Patreon-only live Q&A, just because we'd get too many questions otherwise, and it makes it a lot simpler. But of course, I'll make the video public just after. And look at that PCB on the underside of those drives. You know what that reminds me of? PCB way! Because as we all know, PCB stands for
Printed circuit.
Puppyfractic can bark.
Woof.
Very good. Do check out PCB's website. Not only do they make what I think are the best quality PCBs out there, but they've got a PCB design contest going right now where
She wants to enter.
You want to enter the contest where you can send in your designs before your dog smothers you. And maybe win. That's one way to get her off me. Now, speaking of the Internet Archive, I've actually also scanned things like Chris Blythe's Day Planner, I hope he doesn't mind, and put all of that and some other artwork and sketches of Worms and Worms 2 onto my Internet Archive page. Exciting stuff, as you can tell. So you guys can look through it, and so that, most importantly, it will be preserved for future generations. So what about the news you've been waiting for? The Amiga 4000 from Team 17 and those Worms mesh files on the hard disk.
The armpits.
And the armpits. Well, I did a poll on that video asking you guys where you thought it should end up. And unfortunately, the results weren't very conclusive.
Was it an aluminum poll?
Aluminium. But yeah, either way. So I find tinsel quite distracting.
Happy early Festivus.
Happy Festivus. Same to you. So I did get inquiries from a lot of museums, and thanks to all of you that reached out to house the machine, I did end up deciding on sending the machine to the National Video Game Museum in Sheffield, England. There are a couple of reasons for that. Firstly, their tagline is "Video games for everyone, forever." And I think that kind of says it all when we're talking about historic video game stuff. Secondly, they are just a short drive from Wakefield, where Team 17's office still is, right?
So it's kind of sending it home.
Exactly. And they've been in discussions since we made this decision with Team 17 themselves. And they're going to be making that Amiga 4000 part of a larger exhibit with even more Team 17 stuff. So no date as yet as to when it will actually go on display, but obviously check in with them before visiting, as you should before visiting my lab. Perfect. Now, I also wanted to make the images of the Amiga 4000 hard drives and the backup tapes and lots of other stuff available to the 6 billion people who don't live in Sheffield. And I thought that would be pretty simple.
It's a JPEG, right?
The image?
Yeah.
It's a bit bigger than the JPEG. Speaking of big things in JPEGs, I'll show you those on that TV in just a second. Fun Amiga 1200 NSFW update coming up in a moment. So, but as I was saying, I thought it would be simple. Turns out I would essentially be pirating software if I gave that out, because on there is Workbench, is Lightwave, is Team 17 source data. And I'm not a pirate, right?
Not last time I checked.
I don't know how you check for that. What's a pirate's favourite letter, by the way?
The C.
R.
In your case, ah.
Ah. Anyway, long story short, I reached out firstly to Team 17. We'd been in touch through this process, and they were very gracious, and they said, "Do what you want. We trust you."
Big mistake.
Big mistake. No, that was very kind of them. I then reached out to NewTek, who incredibly are still around, still making versions of Lightwave, and that's kind of mind-blowing to me, because I used to use the NewTek demos on my Amiga 500.
Hello. Welcome to NewTek. Hello. Relax.
So I emailed them. They'd seen the video and they said, "We trust you. Do what you want." Again,
Big mistake.
well, I'm quite trustworthy. As my other t-shirt says, "Trust me, I'm a PCB weigher."
Yeah, it does say that.
Let's say that. Then there was the issue of Workbench. Of course, Workbench is owned by Cloanto, and I would essentially be giving out free copies of Workbench on that hard disk image. But very graciously, Cloanto have agreed to sponsor a free version of Amiga Forever Express Edition to make this possible. And it'll be preloaded with the Amiga 4000. So when you boot up Amiga Forever, it will show that complete image as if you were actually using the machine.
Did the Spice Girls write that song?
Amiga Forever. I think you're confusing that with...
Viva Forever.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I haven't quite got that image together yet. We're working on producing that special release. So make sure you're subscribed. I'll be putting a post out in my community page on YouTube and on social media when that's available to download. I'll also update the description of this video when that's available too.
There's literally nothing there.
Yeah, it's 3 cats. Why is she so wriggly?
We have no cats.
Puppyfractic? Well, while Ladyfractic's distracted, I'm going to talk to you about nudes.
Wait, what?
Oh, I thought you were busy.
No.
You'll remember the Amiga 1200 that I went through and explored, and we found some not suitable for work images on there. Oh boy. I'll have to, I'll pixelate that out. Turns out I should have just opened those in the program file that was sitting there in the same folder.
Duh.
Yeah. So I did that a short time after, and, well, Puppyfractic wasn't very happy with what she saw. You're a good guard dog. Yeah, you were very, very angry about that. But uploading those outrageous 80s haircuts to the internet got me very concerned.
Yeah, it was the haircuts.
Yeah, got me very concerned about internet privacy. So I recommend Surfshark VPN. Sorry, Surfshark VPN. And not only do they encrypt your data, they also protect your banking credentials, your passwords, logins. And with servers in 56 countries, you can even access your Netflix and other accounts from anywhere in the world, because access is a privilege, not a right. Oh, sorry, it's the other way around. And because the Amiga was first announced in 1984, I've teamed up with Surfshark VPN to offer you guys, how much?
84%.
84% off. Because as we all know, VPN stands for...
Virtual Private Network.
No. Very private nudes. And, as we all know, WORMS stands for...
Ew.
Ew, that doesn't make sense. No, it stands for We Only Randomize Major Sweepstakes. Because it is time, of course, it is time for the WORMS contest. Yep, you want to get worms again, don't you?
Not again.
Oh yeah, just pointing a bottom at you, be careful. That's better. Now, as you may know, there was a lot of stuff in that treasure trove. There were hard disks, tapes, as we've already said. And the museum didn't really need all of that stuff. It doesn't look that great, just hard disks stacked up that you can't really access or display. So we decided to keep some of it back, and that way the public and you guys, subscribers and patrons, can all join in and enter a contest and maybe win a part of that treasure trove. So here's what's available to win. check out the link in the description to enter the contest now. But we also wanted to keep a few things back for a charity auction. That way we can really just spread the love of all of this and the enjoyment it's brought us to worthy causes, as well as just museums and contests. So Chris Blythe, who obviously donated all of this stuff to us, one of the charities that he supports in Kenya, where he now lives, is Cura. And they raise, educate and support orphaned children there.
That is incredibly sweet.
Yeah, it's a really worthy cause. So make sure you check out the other link in the description, which is for the charity auction. And that is it for this mega bumper-sized, slightly boring wrap-up of the Team 17 stuff. Honestly, thank you guys so much for all of your interest in this series. I honestly am so grateful that I even got the donation from Chris Blythe in the first place, and that we've finally been able to wrap everything up and do some really good things with it. I'm not wormy!
You're not?
No, I'm not.
Great. Out of the garage.
Yay! High five!
Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe below and see you later.
No, cheerio.
Back in the garage.
What can live in the garage? Will you live in the garage with me?
No, it's on the bed.
You sleep in the bed? What you doing?
Murder. Murder.
Oh, you gotta give me one. Ow.
You okay?
I think I got worms again.
Ugh.